Good morning, everyone. So let's start with the refuge and generating bodhicitta in stages, and that is page 1. So this is the second day of our Saka Dawa home retreat. So I want to repeat some of the things that I said yesterday, but some of you maybe wasn't able to make it yesterday. And also it's good for us to kind of remember generally what we are going to do during these 2 weeks of the Saka Dawa home retreat. So generally, Saka Dawa is a good time for us to intensify our practice, to make some commitments, and to keep those commitments. So yourself, you can tailor accordingly what these commitments are beyond what we will be doing as a group. So what we'll be doing as a group is that we will gather daily from 9 to 11. For some of us, it's AM, and some of us, it's actually PM. Whereby during that period, we will do Buddha Shakyamuni practices, basically alternating between 2 practices. One is a Shakyamuni Buddha Sadhana that His Holiness composed by compiling it from various sources, including, for some of you, you might like knowing this, the main Shakyamuni Buddha visualization that His Holiness used in his sadhana comes from the Lama Debe Dorje cycle of practices. In Lama Debe Dorje cycle, there are many actually practices. The one that some of us have is just a very brief daily practice. There are like specific, more detailed practices in which there is a Shakyamuni Buddha practice in that cycle. And His Holiness, according to the notes you can read in that sadhana, it says that it is taken from the Lama Debe Dorje cycle of teachings. Lama Debe Dorje is a special Drigong tradition. So anyway, this Shakyamuni visualization is taken from there. And then His Holiness also included quotes and passages from different sutras. Then the other practice is a practice of making offerings, the 7-fold offerings puja, to Buddha Shakyamuni and the 16 arhats. The 16 arhats as the text, and this text was composed by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo was one of the 3 great lamas in the early 20th century that lived in eastern Tibet. And through his efforts, together with 2 other lama, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo was a Sakyapa Lama, and then in collaborating with 2 other major figures of that time, one was Chogyo Lingpa, a Nyingma Turton, and the third was Jamgon Kongtrul, the great Jamgon Kongtrul, the Karma Kagyu Lama. The 3 of them was at the forefront of what is now known as the Rime movement that came up in the 20th century, early 20th century in eastern Tibet. So this 16 Arhats and Buddha Shakyamuni Puja was composed by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. And in there, in the text, as it is said, they praised the 16 Arhats and said that, in fact, they are actually Buddhas. But out of skillful means, they manifest the forms of 16 Arhats. And these 16 Arhats, when the Buddha was passing into great and final nirvana, the 16 Arhats came and pledged to him that they will remain in this world and continue to guide and to protect the Buddha Dharma. So it is especially auspicious for us to do this practice. So perhaps like on your own, like some of you I know have the ability, have the circumstance, then you can do both practices every day. So since together we will do one, right? Then later in the day you can do the other one. That would be a very nice thing to do. That would be a kind of commitment that you can make yourself. You don't need to tell anyone. Make that commitment, follow through with that commitment. Then the Shakyamuni sadhana that His Holiness composed includes also a period of time where at the dissolution, you will do the Anapanasati practice of using breath to establish presence or mindfulness. So these are the two main formal practice that we will do as a group. Then those of you who are involved in the Gongchik study, that will continue on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as in we start with the Shakyamuni Buddha practice, and then we switch to, after that we take a short break, and then we continue on to the Gongchik studies. Then on the days that we are not doing Gongchik, meaning Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will then look for passages from the Lalita Vistara and say a few words about those passages. And the Lalita Vistara is the other thing that we are doing for the home retreat, which is to encourage you to try to read the Lalita Vistara, even if it is just a few passages each day or a few pages each day. Please go download that text from 84,000 and read the Lalita Vistara. It's actually ideal if you read the Lalita Vistara out loud. That's why it's called sounding. It's like chanting, but it's a little bit hard maybe to chant in English. But if you can, sure, go ahead. If not, try to sound it out. And when you sound it out, it is said that there are other beings who can hear you more easily. So you want to think that other beings are gathered around, like you are the storyteller, right? And they're all gathered around, seated around you, listening to the Lalita Vistara. So that's the other practice that this Sakadawa home retreat entails. So that there is a famous stanza that is said to summarize everything that all Buddhists teach. And the first line says, do not do anything negative. Second line is practice all the virtues. Third is to subdue your mind. And the fourth line is, this is the teaching of all Buddhists. So during this Sakadawa period, it is good to remember this stanza. Do not do any non-virtue, refrain from all evils, cultivate the virtues, subdue the mind, and this is the teaching of all Buddhists. This is the teaching of Buddha. So again, you could turn that into a form of commitment. You wake up in the day and you can say, okay, among the non-virtues, I think for most of us, among the non-virtues, the obvious non-virtues, we don't really do. So what you can do is you wake up each day, you can say, okay, among the non-virtues, there is one that is seemingly kind of innocent, but I know it is a non-virtue. And I know that, I kind of like automatically get into that. So then you can say, so today, I want to make an effort in not automatically kind of going along with that non-virtue, whatever that is, right? So that's the first line from that stanza that you're committing to doing for this day. Then the second is like to engage in the virtuous activities. So of course, again, generally we engage in virtuous activities, But you could say, again, at that identifying at the beginning of the day, you can say, and today in particular, I want to give attention to this one particular virtue that I know I can do. Then automatically, the third one, subdue the mind, has already occurred. When you give your attention specifically to the non-virtue that you're going to abandon, the virtue that you are going to engage in. And so then the mindfulness that is required to carry out those first two is the subduing of the mind. So then that day, you have lived to whatever degree you are able to, you have lived, use your life to actualize that stanza. And that stanza is a very famous one. And so that's a good way. Yeah. So we're going to begin now with refuge and generating bodhicitta in stages. So Robin, would you like to read in English just one time on page 1, 2, and to the top of page 3, mandala offering? Yeah.
Sure.
So today, Facebook tells me is Robin's birthday. So happy birthday, Robin!
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious awakening. Thus, until I achieve awakening, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until awakening is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all migratory beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. This ground, sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all migratory beings experience such a pure land.
Indala Dhawa Jebe Dhan Hobar Jebe Ge Tarba Dhan Tam Je Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tam Je Gisa Jebe Man Hankadan Nyampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dhan Den Dungal Dander Dulana Mepaya Dabra Zobe Chanju Rinpoche Dobra Janala Dhawa Jebe Dhan Hobar Jebe Ge Tharbada Tamje Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tam Jegi Su Jebe Manangkadang Nyambe Senjen Tamje Dewa Dhan De Dungyal Dander Lana Mepaya Dabra Zobe Chanju Rinpoche Dobra Janala Dhawa Jebe Dhan Hobar Jebe Ge Dharba Dhan Tamje Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Jeki Su Jebe Manangkadang Nyambe Senjen Tamje Dewa Dhan Den Dungyal Dander Nidulana Mepaya Dabra Zobe Chanju Rinpoche Dobra De Sama Gegi Bardu Lunga Yisum Gewala Ko Mashi Bardu Longa Yisum Gewala Good Derine Sudeni Ma Samda Samgi Bardu Longa Yisum Gewala Good Sanje Jodan Sagi Chonam La Chanju Bardu Dani Gyapsuji Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonangi Drola Pencher Sangi Drubra Sangi Jodan Sogi Chonamla Chanchu Bardu Tani Kyapsuji Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonangi Drola Pencher Sangi Drubra Sangi Jodan Sogi Chonamla Chanchu Bardu Tani Kyapsuji Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonangi Drubra Ma Nanga Dan Nyambe Senjen Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Gindan Debra Gyuji Dunga Dan Dunya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyuji Dunga Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyuji Nering Chadan Nidan Dewa Kanyong La Nebra Gyuji Nanga Dan Nyambe Senjen Tamje Dewa Da Wen Gindan Tempra Gyuji Dunga Dan Dunya Gi Gidan Dewa Gyuji Dunga Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Nirin Chada Nidan Dewa Tanyang La Nebra Gyuji Nanga Dan Nyambe Senjen Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Gindan Tempra Gyuji Dungyao Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyuji Dungyao Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyuji Nidan Dewa Tanyang La Nebra Gyuji Saji Buje Jiji Metodra Rira Linji Ninde Genpa Di Sangye Singla Mete Puwa Yi Druga Namda Shindu Jobara Guru Deva Dagini Rana Mendala Pradija So. Now the Buddha Shakyamuni Sadhana that His Holiness composed. So this sadhana begins first with the recollecting or being mindful of the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So I am going to read first in English, and you can just listen. It starts on page 5 of this text. I'm going to first read in English. Then I will ask someone to read the Dharma and someone to read the Sangha. The qualities of Dharma and qualities of Sangha. So Claudia in Guatemala, please read the Dharma one. When I'm done reading the Buddha, then you can read the Dharma. Yeah. And then maybe Judy, do you want to read the Sangha one? Yeah. So we start by first reading, in Sanskrit. So that one may be a little challenging, but that's okay. We're all learning to how to say those Sanskrit words. At the top and the title, in each section, it has, in Sanskrit, so and so. But you can see how how I'm going to read this. So in Sanskrit, Arya Buddha Anusmriti. Homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. In this way, the Bhagavan Buddha is the Tathagata, the foe destroyer, the perfect and complete Buddha, the one who possesses awareness and the grounds, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the turner of the wheel that tames beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of all gods and men, the Buddha, the Bhagavan. Such Tathagatas are concordant with meritorious causes, their roots of virtues not wasted, and are wearing the beauty of patience. They are treasure grounds of the merits and are adorned with the minor marks. The flowers of the major marks have bloomed, and their activities are precise and appropriate. Nothing unpleasant upon seeing them, and they deeply admire those who devote faithfully. Their intelligence is unsurpassed, and they are indomitable in terms of their powers. They are teachers of all sentient beings, fathers of all bodhisattvas, kings of all noble beings, guides for those who travel to the city of nirvana. With unfathomable wisdom and inconceivable courage, they have absolutely pure speeches, pleasant melodies, enchanting faces, and incomparable bodies. They are unsullied by the desire realms, absolutely unsullied by the form realms, and untouched by the formless realms, completely free from the aggregates, free of the constituents, and with the sense fields restrained. Having completely cut the knots, they are totally free from the agonies, utterly free from craving. They have crossed over the rivers, and their wisdom is absolutely perfect. They abide within the wisdom of the Bhagavan Buddhas of past, future, and present. They do not abide in nirvana, abide at the limits of perfect reality, and sit on the stage from where they look upon all sentient beings. They are the great qualities of the Tathagata's perfect wisdom and of remembering the noble Buddha.
Dharma Anusmriti. Homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The sublime Dharma is perfectly delivered. It is the practice of chastity. It is virtuous in the beginning, virtuous in the middle, and virtuous at the end. Perfect in meaning, perfect in words, uncorrupted, totally true, totally pure, and totally impeccable. It is the Vinaya Dharma, well taught by the Bhagavan Buddha. It is perfectly discovered, free from maladies, free from interruptions, well aimed, meaningful to behold, and to be seen by the wise individually on their own. It is perfectly taught Vinaya Dharma, which paves the way for complete awakening for the renunciates. It is free from inconsistency and endowed with consistency. It is endowed with the foundation of and the perpetual path has ceased in it. End of remembering the Dharma.
In English, recollection of the Sangha. Homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The noble Sanghas are those who proceed with propriety, proceed with appropriacy, proceed with conformity, and proceed with honesty. They are worthy of offering prostrations and worthy of putting the palms together. They are great beings with complete mastery of the qualities who purify the gifts of offerings completely. They are worthy of generosity by all. End of remembering the Sangha.
The qualities of Buddha are inconceivable. The sublime Dharma is likewise inconceivable. The noble Sangha is inconceivable. When one has faith in the inconceivable, its ripening is also inconceivable. May I be born in the land of complete purity. Again, reminder for future readings. We start by saying in Sanskrit, Sangha Anusmriti, and then we say in English, recollection of the Sangha. So from the title, we want to say in Sanskrit, blah, 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 in English, da, da, da. This is a convention established in Tibet so that every title of a sutra or a tantra, its original Sanskrit title is kept. So the great translators in Tibet felt very strongly that it is important, even as the content of the text is translated into the local language, in that case, Tibetan, that at the very least, the Sanskrit title be kept intact. They say that this is a way to remind everyone where this came from, and then generate gratitude towards the origins of this text, and also to instill, they say, confidence that this came from the Buddha. And so they kept this, they established this convention so that every time when they chant a text that comes from India, they will begin Kya kake du ayan manjusri nama sangiti. For example, Kya kake du, which is Kya kake du means in the language of India, or in other words, in Sanskrit. Then the title in Sanskrit, and then they, Pokedu. Pokedu means in Tibetan. So in our case, it's translated into English. So then we say in English, recollection of the Sangha in this case. So anyway, now page 13. Jasper, are you there? Or Leonard?
Yes, Guru.
Oh, Jasper, you're there. Okay. Can you please? Yes, okay, both of you are there. Good. So Jasper first, can you read from page 13 to 14, to the bottom of 14?
From the state of emptiness arises a will of protections. In the center of that is a throne that is held out by powerful men and lions. Upon that, on the seat made of lotus, moon, and sun, in a mom slippers in golden color, which completely transform into the teacher's Sakyaraja, who radiates golden rays like refined gold. He is ornamented with the 32 major marks and 80 minor marks. His right hand is in the earth-touching gesture, and the left is in the gesture of equipoise. He sits with his two legs in a Vajra posted, wearing the 3 Dharma robes in saffron color like the clouds of sunrise. He is an magnificent as 100,000 suns, and in the pores of his body there are the 2,000 Buddhas of the fortune eons, who appear clearly yet are without substance.
Okay, so now we will chant in the Tibetan. So a reminder, so in this practice, Buddha Shakyamuni appears in the space in front of us or in the where our shrine is. And so first we begin by cleansing or purifying that space with the first mantra. Then with the second mantra, that is the emptiness or purity or dissolution mantra. And then from within that, then Buddha Shakyamuni appears. Om Bhanja Amrita Kundale Hana Hana Om Pe Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddha. Dong Pe Ngang Le Sung Kuru Ye Dang Senge Te Pe Tri Pe Ma Da Ni Den Den Du Mum Ye Ser Gi Do Chen Ni Yung Gyur Dong Ba Sha Ge Gya So Ma Ser Gi Do Da Zer Sen Zang Sum Ju So Ni Dam Pe Je Zang Po Ge Ju Ze Cha Ye Sa Nun Yon Nyam Sha Sha Ni Do Je Gyu Trung Shu Tsam Trin Sar Pe Do Da Bu Jo Go Nam Sung Gu La Nam Ni Ma Bum Gi Zi Ji Chen De Ye Ba Bu Bu Gar Ni Kiao Zan Sang Ye Dong Za Ni Nang La Rang Xin Me Bar Zi. Now is the making of the offerings, and this is done by reciting the extract from the King of Aspiration prayers of Samantabhadra. This is known as the 7 branches of offering, excerpted from the sutra, and this is the sutra tradition. So on page 15 is where it starts. Let's see, Melissa, can you read from 15 to the bottom of 16? And then 17, Leonard, can you read 17? Yeah. And then maybe Antonio, can you read page 18? And then I will read 19.
Okay. Making offerings. It is said in the Avatam Saka Sutra, by hearing, seeing, and venerating the conquerors, a limitless heap of merit will be mounting. In order to discard afflictions and the sufferings of samsara, this accumulation will not exhaust within the intermediate state. 7 branches of offering exerted from the sutra. To each and every one of the lions among humans who move in the 3 times in the worlds of 10 directions, I pay homage to them all with my body, speech, and sincere mind. By the power of their aspirations to engage in the perfect conducts, all conquerors are vividly present in the direct vision of my mind. With bodies as numerous as atoms in the world, I bow completely to all conquerors. On one atom are Buddhas as numerous as all atoms, each amidst a host of bodhisattvas, and I visualize that the expanse of all phenomena is completely filled with conquerors in this way. Through an infinite ocean of praise for you, vocalized in an ocean of myriad melodies, I shall tell of the qualities of you conquerors and praise all of you Sugatas.
Superior flowers and superior garlands, musical instruments, ointments and grand parasols, grand oil lamps and superior incense, I offer them to you conquerors. Splendid costumes and ambrosial scents, heats of incense powder as high as Mount Meru, and the most excellent of all marvelous arrays, I offer them to you conquerors. Offerings that are unsurpassed and vast are also directed to all you conquerors. Through the power of faith in perfect conduct, I pay homage to you conquerors and make offerings.
Whatever non-virtues I have committed with my body, speech, and mind, influenced by attachment, anger, and ignorance, I confess each and every one. I rejoice in the merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, of solitary realizers, of hearers, still in training, and those beyond, and all migratory beings. You who are the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who have attained the desireless state of Buddhahood through the stages of awakening, I beseech all of you, lords of beings, to turn the supreme wheel of Dharma.
With my palms put together, I pray, those of you who intend to enter parinirvana, please stay for the happiness and well-being of all migratory beings, for eons as numerous as atoms of the earth. The small amount of virtue that I have accumulated by paying homage, offering, confessing, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, I dedicate all of it for the sake of awakening. And now let's go back to page 15 and chant this in the Tibetan. Jine suda je 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 tena du sum she pa mi isenge kun dagi malu de da tam je la lu dang a yi dang we ja gi Zang po ju be mon lam tom da gi gya wa tam je yi gi ngun sum du Shing gi du nye lu ram tu ba ye gya wa kun la ram tu cha su lu Du chi ten na du nye sangye nam sangye se ki una shu pa da. De tar chu ki yin nam ma lu pa tham che gya wa da gi gang ma mu de da nga pa mi ze gya tsu nam yang ki yen la gya tsu dra kun ji gya wa kun ji yon ten rab zu jin de wa she pa tham je da gi to me to dam pa chen wa dam pa dang siu nian nam dang ju pa du cho da mar me cho dang du po dam pa yi gya wa de da la yang cho par gi na za dam pa nam dang tri cho dan je me pur ma re ra yam pa dang go pe ke par pa pe chu kun ji gya wa de da la yang cho par gi cho pa gang na na me gya che wa de da gya wa tham che la yang mo zang po cho la de pe thong da gi gya wa shun la cha se cho par gi do cha she dang ti mu wang gi ni lo dang a da de shin yi ki kyang de pa da gi ge pa chi chi par de da tham che da gi so so sha chu chu gya wa kun dang sang ge se rang gya nam da lo dang mi lo dang dro wa kun ji so nam kang la ya de da kun ji je se da yi rang gang nan chu chu ji ten drun ma da chang ju ren pa sang ke ma cha ne gom po de da da gi tam che la ko lo la na me pa ko wa ku nya ngen da tong kang she de da la ro wa kun la pen shin de we chir kya pa shin gi du ne shu pa yang da gi tel mo rab ja so war gi chak sa wa dan chu jing sha pa dan je si re ra ku jing so wa yi ge wa chung se da gi chi sa pa tam che da gi chang chu ju ngo. Now just listen to the description of the visualization that we should do when we are reciting the mantra. The front generation, meaning what is in front of us, is Munindra, the Lord of the Dharma. In his heart is a mum syllable of golden color, surrounded by a Muni mantra placed clockwise that will rotate clockwise. From that, rays of light radiate, making offerings to all conquerors and their children. Return and illuminate on all sentient beings in the 6 realms, thereby freeing them from their sufferings and purifying their karmic obscurations. Then the light rays dissolve into the mantra in the heart of the front generation. Once again, the rays of light radiate, allowing the blessings to penetrate my mind and purifying the 2 obscurations, and establishing me in a state of unsurpassed awakening. Om Mani Mahamunaya Swaha. Om Mani 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 Mani Mahamunaya Om Mani Mani Mahamunaya Swaha. 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 Om Mani Mahamunaya Swaha. Om Mahamunaya Swaha. Om Mani Mani Mahamunaya Swaha. Munaya Soha. Om Mani Mani Mahamunaya 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 Soha. Mani Mahamunaya Soha. Om Mani 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 Mani Mahamunaya Soha. Muni Muni 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 Mahamunaya Soha. 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 Muni M marmalade, om money money 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 marmalade, Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya Soha. 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 At the time of your birth, chief of two-legged beings, you took 7 steps on this great earth and declared, I am the most excellent one in this world. I pay homage to you who even then were wise. You first descended from Tushita heaven and entered your mother's womb at Rajagriha. Sage born in the garden of Lumbini, Bhagavan, God of gods, I pay homage to you. In the celestial mansion, you were served by 8 and 4 nursemaids. In the city of Shakya, you enjoyed the pleasures of youth. In the land of Kapilavastu, you married Gopa. One without peer in the 3 worlds, I pay homage to you. After the displays of sadness in the 4 entrances to the city, you shaved off your hair in front of the stupa of absolute purity and practiced asceticism on the banks of the Nairanjana river. One free from the defects of the 2 obscurations, I pay homage to you. You subdued the mad elephant in Rajagriha, and the monkeys in Vaishali offered you honey. Sage truly awakened at Magadha, one who illuminates with the light of insight and wisdom, I pay homage to you. You turned the wheel of Dharma at Varanasi, performed great miracles at Jetavana, and attained Parinirvana at Kushinagara. One whose heart is as profound as space, I pay homage to you. Thus is the Bhagavan, the Lord of the Dharma. By the virtue of this brief praise of your deeds, may the actions of all beings also become like your deeds, Sugata. Tathagata, may I and all beings become just like you, with a body, retinue, lifespan, Buddha field, and excellent name like yours. By the power of praising and supplicating you, may sickness, evil spirits, poverty, and conflict be pacified wherever I and the rest live, and may you make the Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate. May teachers come to the world and the teachings shine like the rays of the sun. May holders of the teachings, disciples, discourses, and practice flourish, and may there be auspiciousness of the teachings remaining here for a long time. So please go back to page 21. 강세 강리 소wo 교담세 사젠디라 공바둠볼네 ngani jitendina chujisun desekeba kyola chaselo dangbo gande la yi yune jun gyalpo kadu yumgi lum sushu lumbini yi tsedu tu batam chunden la yi la la chaselo Shaye kangdu mama ye shi jo shake dronru shonu ro tse Sarke ne su sa tso kyab du she si sun tsung me kula cha se lo Rongye go shir gyo we su ten ne chu ten nam da dun du utra su nai ran ja ne ram du ka tu se dream ne kyon dan re la cha se lo Kiao po kap tu lang chen nyom pa tu yang pa chen du tre u rang si pu ma ga da ru tu pa ngon sam ye kien pe ye sha bayar la cha se lo Varanasi chuki kurlo kor Sete tsedu chutru chenpo ten Sa chu rondu gongpa nyang yende Tugni nam kadra la cha se lo Ditar tempe dabo chom den ze Zebe tsula do tsam to pa yi Gewe dro wa kungi cho pa yan De she kyu ki zedang tsum par sho De shin she pa ke ku chi da da Kor dang ku tse tse dan shin kam dang Kyoki sencho sampo tri wa de da korna da so gyurwa sho. Kyola tu jing so wa ta pe tu da so gang du ne pe sa chu su. Ne don u pong tab so shi wa dan cho dan ta shi per wa ze tu so. Tom pa ji ten kam su jom pa dan ten pa ni o shin du sa wa dan. Tenzin pon lo she du ge gyur chi ten pa yu ri ne pe ta shi shu. So this next part is the concluding stage, the completion stage. And so I will read the words from the sadhana regarding the dissolution. So then as I read this, you meditate accordingly. And then once the dissolution has happened, when your body, speech, and mind and the exalted body, speech, and mind of Buddha Shakyamuni has become one, then at that point, the instructions here say, as soon as this happens, practice the meditative equipoise of breathing in and out, meaning to anchor your awareness on the arising and ceasing of breath. Recognize that breath is a property of the body. And so then with regards to the four foundations of awareness, the four reference points or the four frames of reference for establishing mindfulness, the Buddha taught that the first frame of reference is the body. And the most essential quality, the most essential need of the body is the quality of breath. And so we begin by observing breath. Observe breath with enthusiasm, with determination, for your mind and body to gather around the object of breath. The front generation Bhagavan, the Lord of the Dharma, melts into light and dissolves into the Muni mantra circle, which then dissolves into the Mum syllable. As the Mum syllable dissolves into the spot between my eyebrows, my body, speech, and mind become inseparable from the exalted body, speech, and mind of the conqueror, Buddha Shakyamuni. As soon as this happens, practice the meditative equipoise of breathing in and out. Thus, in accordance with the Sutra of breathing in and out, focus your attention on the incoming and outgoing breaths and maintain non-distraction for at least 15 minutes. Furthermore, it says in the Bodhicharyavatara, if the discipline of guarding the mind is lacking, what use are many other disciplines? Drigong Kyopa said, the main path of the Buddhists of the three times is constant mindfulness without interruption. As it is thus said, maintain non-distraction as much as you can now. The body and mind settle quietly, comfortably, naturally into their own places. Let body and mind find their place of rest. And when you are ready, turn your attention to your breath, to the incoming and outgoing breath, or to the rising and ceasing of breath within the body. As you breathe in, note the quality of that breath, whether it's long or short, whether it's rough or smooth. As you breathe out, again note the quality of breath, making that an object of interest, of enthusiastic attention, of joyful attention. As you observe, pay attention to the life-giving properties of breath, both in-breath and out-breath, seeing the importance of both. Drawing in breath, the body expands. Releasing out breath, the body closes in, opens up, closes in. And from moment to moment, let your awareness, let your attention be with the breath, the one single breath. Don't concern yourself with meditating for this long or that long. Just concern yourself with meditating on the single breath that is occurring right now, right here, in this body, on this seat, in this place, in this room. just turn up completely and fully and be present with this breath. Breath is the great equalizer. No matter how powerful, famous, well-known, rich you are, you can only breathe one breath at a time. And no matter how poor, how lack of privilege, how insignificant you think you are, you can only exhale one breath at a time as well. So it doesn't matter who we are. The single breath is the single most crucial topic, object of focus right now. So just stay with the one breath. Pay attention to each breath as if you don't pay attention, it will cease and not come back at all. So keep your attention anchored to each moment of breath as it arises for a moment, abides for a moment, and ceases for another moment. Watch and appreciate the momentary nature of each breath, making life possible. The arising and ceasing of breath, body expanding, body contracting, body expanding again, body contracting, in, out, in, out. Let your mind be like that door that swings open and close as breath travels in and out, in, out. Arising, ceasing, in, out. So now the supplication at the very end. So what we will do with this supplication is let us all say this together in English. I pay homage to all the Buddhas. I pay homage to all the Bodhisattva rishis who possess divine eyes, as well as to the hearers. I pay homage to Bodhicitta, which precludes all bad realms and shows the path to the higher realms, thereby guiding one to the state without aging and death. Whatever evil deeds I have done under the domination of my mind, I approach the Buddhas and confess them all. I have accumulated a collection of merit through the three types of actions. Through the seed of omniscience may I attain the inexhaustible awakening. In the Pure Lands of the 10 directions, whatever offerings are made in which the enlightened Buddhas rejoice, I too rejoice in them. I confess all evil deeds and rejoice in all meritorious deeds. I pay homage to all Buddhas. May I attain to supreme wisdom. I request the Bodhisattvas dwelling on the 10th stage in all quarters of the 10 directions to awaken into supreme awakening. Having awakened into supreme awakening and defeated the Maras and their army, may you turn the wheel of Dharma for the welfare of all living beings. Through the sound of the great drum of Dharma, may sentient beings become liberated from their sufferings. For limitless billions of eons, may you continue to give Dharma teachings. May the excellent ones among two-legged beings take care of me, as I am sunk in the mud of desire, bound with the tightrope of existence, and trapped by all kinds of fetters. You Buddhas do not despise those whose mind makes me impure. May you have the heart of loving kindness for all sentient beings. May you free them from the ocean of existence. Following in the steps of the completely awakened Buddhas who are present, those of the past and those who are yet to come, may I engage in bodhisattva activities. Having completed the 6 perfections, may I liberate sentient beings of the 6 realms. Having actualized the 6 super knowledges, may I reach the unsurpassable awakening. May I realize the Dharma of emptiness, wherein there is no arising, no occurring, no nature, no abode, no mental cognition, and no entities. Like Buddha, the great Rishi, may I realize the Dharma wherein there is no sentient being, no life force, no person, no reviving, and no self. Without resorting to self-fixation and the things fixated upon as mine, may I have no stinginess and give gifts for the welfare of all sentient beings. As things do not exist as things, may my pleasures be spontaneously present. As all things fall apart, may I complete the perfection of generosity. Unerring in the prescribed moral ethics, may I possess utterly pure moral ethics. With morality devoid of conceit, may I complete the perfection of moral ethics. Just like the earth, water, fire, or wind, may I not dwell in anger, and with patience free from anger, may I complete the perfection of patience. Through the effort of initiating effort, may I have perpetual joy without laziness, and with powerful body and mind, may I complete the perfection of effort. Through the illusion-like equipoise, the brave progression equipoise, and the diamond-like equipoise, may I complete the perfection of meditative concentration. Through the 3 doors of complete liberation, the sameness of the 3 times, and the actualization of the threefold knowledge, may I complete the perfection of excellent wisdom. With words of praise from all the Buddhas, with brilliant light and magnificence, and through my efforts to do as the Bodhisattvas do, and my aspirations be fulfilled. Through my having engaged in such activities, may my loving kindness be renowned. And may I thus complete the 6 perfections and abide fully at the culmination of the 10 stages. So we now have completed the Buddha Shakyamuni sadhana and the mindfulness of breath practice combined into one, a very special Buddha Shakyamuni sadhana that His Holiness the Drikung Kyabgon Chesang composed for the practice, for those who want to practice this puja to Buddha Shakyamuni. So like I said, so if you look at the end, in the colophon at the end, it says, in response to the disciple Konjonima's persistent request, I've arranged in stanzas the actual method for practicing the ritual of generating the Lord of Muni in accordance with the cycle of practice found in Dharmakirti's Guru Blissful Vajra. And this is the Lama Devedorje. Then the rest of the well-known recitations are arranged as they appear in the sutras. So this is this practice that we have just finished. So as I said, this program of the Saka Dawa home retreat, basically in terms of formal practice, we have this sadhana and Jamyang Kensei Wangpo's supplications, puja to Buddha Shakyamuni and the 16 Arhats. We are going to alternate the practice of these two texts. And then if you have the circumstance, if you have the ability, you can do on your own later in the day, whichever that we have not done for that particular day. So now, let us look at the Lalita Vistara, the play in full. As I said, when we don't have Gongchik class, then I'm going to call your attention to certain passages in the Lalita Vistara and say a few words about that. So the Lalita Vistara is a Mahayana telling, in the Mahayana tradition, the telling of the life of the Buddha. It's a very long text. It begins with the setting of the sutra. It's many years after the Buddha's enlightenment, after the Buddha's awakening. One day, the disciples asked him to tell them about the circumstance of his last life as a deity, as a god in Tushita heaven, and particularly how during the last part of his life as a god in Tushita heaven, and that the time came for him to take rebirth into the human realm and to manifest all the activities of a full and complete Buddha. So, so then it is said that, as is the tradition for all bodhisattvas that are about to take their final rebirth as a human being and to manifest the activity of achieving complete Buddha for the benefit of others, then one of the things that they do before that is that before they are reborn into the human realm, they will teach, give a number of teachings first to the gods in the Tushita heaven. So this is where we are. This is where I am going to read from. So if you have this text in the E form, it's around page 72, which is around chapter 4. So chapter 4, section 35, starting from there. There the Buddha has just completed, here he is called the Bodhisattva. So he is at the Bodhisattva of the 10th level, 10th Bhumi. So he taught all his friends, all his assembly of gods that are his friends in Tushita, this teaching called the Gateways to the Light of Dharma. So he has finished speaking on the 108 gateways, the 108. The 108 gateways are basically, I would say, the 108 topics, sort of like basic vocabulary for Dharma, that he will, of course, teach more extensively when he manifests he actualized the state of Buddha later. But even as a 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva, of course, he is more than qualified to teach the 108 gateways. Then at the conclusion of having taught the 108 gateways, which again, it's a good thing to know, because it lists out all the key phrases, the key Dharma vocabulary. Yeah. Then 436, monks at that time, the Bodhisattva, so this is Buddha Shakyamuni, right? Telling his disciples, his monks. He said, and at that time, the Bodhisattva, referring to himself, uttered these verses in order to bring even more joy to the assembly of gods. At the time that the guide, the lion of men, passes away and descends, passes away from Tushita heaven and descends from the supreme realm of the heaven of joy, which is Tushita, he proclaims these words to the gods: abandon all forms of mindlessness. So mindlessness is the lack of mindfulness, the lack of non-distraction. So in the quote that His Holiness provided in the sadhana, in the completion stage instructions, one particular quote from Kyopa Jigten Sumden, founder of Bigong Kagyu, it says that non-distraction is the highway, is the main path of all Buddhas, the path, the great highway of all the Buddhas of past, present, and future. Buddhas of the past have become Buddhas due to cultivating this non-distraction. What we normally call mindfulness here is expressed as non-distraction. In part, why it's expressed as non-distraction is because it's talking about keeping our attention on the nature of our mind. So this is not mindfulness of breath, right? Mindfulness of breath is to be mindful, to have our attention anchored on a particular object, breath. That is an important way to rein in, right, distraction, to cut down distraction. So to use breath as the reference point. Then the next step beyond that, right, is to let that attention settle into an object that in the Mahayana tradition is said to be something innate to us, which is what's called the nature of mind, or sometimes called mind itself, sometimes called ordinary mind, sometimes called rikpa, which has been translated as, like innate wakefulness, our Buddha mind, our nature of our minds. So non-distraction. So here, the Buddha says, abandon all forms of mindlessness. Right? Abandon all forms of lack of mindfulness, lack of attention, or becoming distracted. Then 437, he says, the multitudes of divine pleasures, all wonderful things conjured up by the mind. So all the pleasures, so he's speaking to his fellow gods, which is said that in this God realm, the pleasures that they have access to is just unimaginable. It is said that they only have to think of the object of pleasure in ways that us in the human realm, we have to eat, we have to see, we have to smell, we have to taste, we have to touch before the pleasure can arise. But in these God realms, they only have to think of it and then they can experience it. So there, Buddha said, all these wonderful things, all these divine pleasures, they are in fact conjured by the mind. So ordinarily we think the mind, which is the subject, me here, so-called the mind, right? Or awareness or consciousness. And then there are things out there that I have to go look for in order to experience. But here Buddha taught, Buddha said, but actually what we experience, the experience of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, they are all conjured up by the mind. They are produced by the mind. Meaning these are experiences experienced by the mind. So I have said elsewhere, we don't even need to go in the direction of trying to figure out, is the chair really out there? Is the chair that I'm sitting on here really here or not? In fact, the Buddha is not so much concerned to try to convince you whether the chair that you see over there, the couch that you see over there, the flower that you see over here, is it really out there or not? That is, in a way, beside the point. But the point that we do have to get is, when we see a flower, what we are experiencing is something that lies simply and no further than our own mind. So even when we say, I have a visual experience, well, we don't normally say that, but using Buddhist technical language, we say, I'm having a visual experience of a flower. Right there. See that? It's not as if your eyes actually have touched the flower that you think you see there. What your eye has just, or your eye, so to say, or your eye consciousness have experienced is an experience of a flower. And when you look closer to this experience of that flower, you'll see that that experience is completely subjective. Because all the things that you associate with flowers in general, and all the things you associate with that particular flower, is what's going on in your experience. Yeah, which then leads to, if there's 3 of us sitting in this room or 4 of us sitting in this room, and I say, let's all look at that flower, right? Are we in fact experiencing the same flower? If you look at it, no. We each are experiencing our own flower. So that is what it means. Yeah? The multitude of divine pleasures. And I would say, if this was in the hell realms, then the multitude of sufferings, of hellish sufferings, of hellish pains. So here, the multitude of divine pleasures are all wonderful things conjured up by the mind. And all of this is caused by virtuous actions. So listen now to learn about these actions. So then the Buddha says, all the divine pleasures that we have access to now in Tushita heaven, all the pleasures that all of us are experiencing here, see first of all that they are the result of mind. Then, on a more kind of the next level, as in level, so you have the nature of mind level. If you can see that, if we can truly see that, then we can become free. Now, if we don't see that, then we have to see the next step. The next step is to see how suffering and happiness arises as the result, as the fruit of skillful and unskillful actions. So if we're experiencing pleasant experiences right now, meaning pleasant results, then they are due to virtuous or skillful causes that have been created at some point. And what creates virtuous causes, and for that matter, non-virtuous causes? The mind. Yeah. What kind of mind? The mind that has not yet realized nature of mind goes about creating all these things without any control, without any awareness or any kind of true mastery. So now listen, Buddha says, about these actions. So 438, acknowledge, meaning recognize and then acknowledge the kindness done to you. So remember kindness that has been given to us, that has been shown us. It's very easy to fall into the trap of complaining about what we don't have, especially when we see someone else having it. We do that. We do that. We don't necessarily do that, with like seething jealousy, directed at others. We don't necessarily do that. But in varying degrees, we do fall into the trap of feeling jealous. And even like the feeling of feeling bad for yourself, it comes from this kind of jealousy. Feeling bad for yourself. It comes from this kind of jealousy. You see someone having something, having an experience, including Dharma experience, that you don't have. Then immediately you think it's so unfair. Why aren't they doing more for me to have this? Why can't they see, I'm disadvantaged, so on and so forth. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, for those of us that are feeling like, the system that we have, right? Like particularly like government, economic system, political system. There are a lot of injustices. I believe in working to undo these unjust structures, political, social, economic. So that's important work on that level. Yeah, environmental justice, economic justice, social justice, right? Gender, so on and so forth. We can work on making a more just world. But recognize that that is slightly a different matter from what we're doing here. Recognize that when it comes to, at the end of the day, purifying all non-virtues, cultivating all the virtues, subduing the mind, transforming the mind, purifying the mind, recognizing the nature of mind, then we cannot spend our energy in terms of this work blaming others. We have to undo, so to say, the unjust structures that we have built within our own minds. So spiritual justice, when it comes to spiritual justice, what we have to dismantle is our own prison. As you stay active, and I salute you if that's what you're doing, in all the different types of righting the wrongs that is prevalent in our world. If that's what you're doing, it's very noble. But don't confuse the two, when it comes to our own minds. So it says, Buddhahood in the palm of your hand. It's within your own reach. You have to undo. So Buddha, it says, when he achieved under the Bodhi tree, when he achieved Buddha, he uttered a verse and he says, O builder of this house, O architect of this house, I have seen you. And seeing you, I have dismantled your work, and you shall build no more. So this is the structures of oppression within our own minds that we have to dismantle for our spiritual justice. Fight for spiritual justice in this season. Reinvigorate your fight for spiritual justice. Dismantle the architecture of oppression that we have allowed to be built within our own minds. We'll start with something as simple as acknowledge the kindness done to you. Do not fall back into the 3 lower realms. After exhausting your previous stores of merit, there is only unhappiness and suffering there. And so he's warning his fellow friends, godly friends. He says, first you should acknowledge the kindness, because gods can sometimes get very smug. And so in that sense, we are in the God realm. In fact, we are, compared to many other places in the world. Many of us are basically living in the God realm. And it says that one of the faults of the God realm is that we are really smug. We are really prideful. And then we forget, like so much of the good that we experience is due to the kindness of others. So it says, acknowledge that kindness that has been done to us. And then be careful, when our good merit has been exhausted, then we will fall into the 3 lower realms. When we have exhausted our stores of merit, then there is only unhappiness and suffering that will be there. Then he goes on to say, once you develop respect for me, apply yourselves earnestly to practicing the teachings that you have heard, and you will inevitably attain boundless joy. So his fellow gods recognize, that he is the 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva that is going to take rebirth now and become a full and complete Buddha. So he's saying to them, I know you look to me, I know you respect me, but really what's more important than just simply look to me, respect me, adore me, praise me, is apply yourselves earnestly to practicing the teachings that you have heard, and you will inevitably attain boundless joy. If joy and happiness is what you want, if is what you're looking for, then you apply these teachings. And so all desirable things are impermanent and unstable. Right? We cannot count on them, right, is what he's saying. That they are impermanent and unstable. You don't know how long they're going to be there. And even if they're there, you don't know how long they will continue to give you the kind of satisfaction and pleasure that you think that it will give you, right? We get bored. Even if it is still there, we get bored with it. Then it's like, on to the next thing, right? Nothing is eternal, not even the eons, not even the kalpas, which is these long unit of time, a kalpa and eon. He says, even that is not eternal. Everything is like a mirage or an illusion, and as fleeting as lightning or a water bubble. So this is very similar to the Diamond Sutra saying, view everything, see that everything is like a mirage or like an illusion. And they are fleeting as lightning, a flash of lightning, or just a water bubble. So causes and conditions, when they come together, you get a flash of lightning. You get a water bubble forming. Then very quickly, it will go away. The pleasure brought about by the qualities of desirable things. Yes, of course, virtuous actions will result in pleasant, pleasurable experiences, but recognize that the pleasure that comes is as unsatisfying as drinking salt water. So when we are thirsty, then we see water and we drink, but it turns out that it's salt water. So if you drink salt water to quench thirst, it will only increase your thirst. But those with noble, pristine knowledge that transcends the world are satisfied. So if we understand the nature of experiences, of how the quality of experience is arrived at, then even without becoming Buddha, we already experience some freedom from the oppression, from those structures of oppression that we have allowed to be built. Because then, even when we're not Buddhists, and we have something that we didn't want to happen, and no choice, you're stuck with it. But if you understand the nature of experience, how experience arises and sees, then that knowledge, can help us become less agitated. Just like, this is how it is. This is part of the deal of samsara. Like these special lunch deals. Sometimes the restaurant says, no substitutes. You cannot pick and choose. It comes like this. So if you want this, it'll come with that, right? And that when it comes, you say, well, I didn't ask for it. Well, you did, it's part of the deal. So when you have some recognition of that, then you don't get so agitated, You're just like, yeah, that's just how it is, right? So you can then transcend. That means you can have some freedom, even in the midst of the annoyance, You won't like shout your head off, all the time, just because things are not agreeable to you. Goddesses, companions, and beautiful songs are like the audience of a play. And so the audience will come for a play. When the play is over, they leave. So they are like a crowd of people who assemble and then go on their own separate ways. In the realm of the conditioned, there are no allies, no friends, no relatives, no retinue. And besides, the karma that results from good deeds also binds one and ever follows behind one's back. So here he's not saying, like don't create good deeds because that karma will bind you. Here he's saying, even if pleasure and desirable experiences is what we want, recognize that even that, if we don't know how to handle the positive results of positive actions, we can unwittingly let good conditions create future sufferings. You say, so watch out, right? Therefore, be harmonious. And so the point, the point of this, right? All the things that he has said, right here, he starts off by saying, acknowledge the kindness done to you. So especially in the God realm, don't get overtaken by pride. Don't get overtaken by smugness, thinking, oh, I did it all on my own. I deserve this. This is what I'm entitled to. This is what I have earned with my hard work, and become so smug. Then he says, you all should reduce your pride and see how unreliable, how impermanent, how interdependent all these experiences are. And in the realm of the conditioned, there are no allies, no friends, no relatives, no retinue. Here, if you read this out of context, you might think he's saying, like throw away your friends, throw away your family, throw away your relatives. No, he's not saying that. He's saying, ultimately, these cannot follow you. These cannot go with you. And then especially if on the account of us being attached to allies, friends, relatives, and retinue, that we create negativity, then it will forever bind us. But instead, he says, this is what you should do. Therefore, be harmonious with one another. Act with a loving and benevolent mind. So he didn't say, you know, there are no allies, no friends, no relatives, no retinue. It all sucks. They are all just enemies. Yeah? Be negative, be sour, be bitter. Right? No, he says, therefore, be harmonious with one another. So much of news, you know, these days, I don't know when it all started. I think it's always been there, but it just got more and more extreme, which is the strategy is you get notice, you get clicks, you get likes when you trigger people. In the same way that, you know, foods that cause inflammation, we fly to them, you know, like flies, you know, and bugs flying to an open flame. Even though we know we're going to get fried, you're like, oh, so tasty, you know, and you get fried, right? In the same way, we gravitate to news, or so-called news. No, there are real news, in my opinion. Then there is fake news, yes, blah, blah, blah. Not all news are equal, just to be clear, if you want my standpoint, you know. I don't want to undermine, you know, legitimate, you know, journalism. I have an undergraduate degree in journalism, actually, so I have some of my attachments to that field. But anyway, but so much, you know, is to trigger us, to send alarm, to be alarmist, right? Just, you know, to get us all worked up. Don't get trapped, you know, to get us to be suspicious, to get us to be fearful, actually, right? Not like with Zoom, you know. You remember that? Oh, Zoom is bad, you know. Yeah, maybe it is, you know, but so is, you know, triple chocolate, you know, Rocky Road ice cream, you know, they're bad for you, you know. So what, right? I mean, you make your choices. Like, you look at it from one perspective, everything can harm you. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, like, on the internet, you know, they want to trigger you. Yes, is there an issue with the security? Yes, there is. Now, they have called attention to it. That's someone else's business to fix it. But we want to feel like, oh, I can do something, I need to do something, but often there's nothing I can do. And so what happens is fear. Then it keeps adding on, it keeps adding on, it keeps adding on. The other thing, I don't know if you've noticed, some of you maybe, you know, I was starting to notice, like starting last week, this people sharing this news. This one famous writer, Umberto Eco, In the Name of the Rose, right? That he has died. It's a BBC link. It's like, that's really legitimate. It's like, he has died, you know? It's like, huh. I thought, and then I thought, wait, I thought he died already, you know? So I looked up, you know, true enough, Wikipedia, you know, he died like, I don't know, at least 6 years, if not more than that. But suddenly everyone is sharing, you know, Umberto Eco has died at age of 84. It's like, how many times do we need to kill the poor guy? You know? But you can see how it's feeding us this narrative of fear. So we keep, you know, unwittingly go in a negative direction. It says, therefore be harmonious with one another, act with loving and benevolent mind, engage in wholesome activities, skillful activities, for actions done well will bring no torment. Don't spread torment. Please, really, don't share news about how terrible, how horrible, Oh, yet, you know, like slight thing, you know, oh, COVID-19 would attack fetus. Yes, perhaps there is a study, but the nature of scientific studies is that unless it has been reviewed, it is replicable, right? All of that. Again, it's taking some information, packaging it into a fear, release it out there. Share it, share it, share it. What are we doing? Spreading fear, spreading alarm. Yeah. Then instead he says here, you know, Buddha says, please recall the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha and do not slip into heedlessness. Those who delight in study, discipline, and generosity are endowed with patience and gentleness. Investigate suffering, impermanence, and lack of self. Examine these three phenomena thoroughly. They occur in connection to causes and conditions. They are void of life and have no owner. This line is really important. They are void of life and have no owner. What is void of life and have no owner? Causes and conditions, and suffering, impermanence, and lack of self. Don't impute persons. Don't personalize suffering, impermanence, and lack of self. In a sense, you know, we suffer. In a sense, we fight against impermanence because we personalize it. We say, why me? Oh, not fair. Why? It's really nothing personal. It's just the nature of things. Whatever miraculous powers you see in me, this is the Bodhisattva speaking. Whatever miraculous powers you see in me, and whatever eloquence, wisdom, and qualities I may have. So this is the Buddha turning it back to us. All of this is caused by virtuous deeds, arising from study, meaning learning, from discipline, and from conscientiousness. It's not enough to have a lot of information up in our head to study, to learn. We need to have discipline. And then we have conscientiousness. Make effort to apply this. For the welfare and benefit and love of all sentient beings, you should emulate me with your discipline, your study, your conscientiousness, your generosity, restraint, and self-control. For you will not be able to accomplish the auspicious teachings by the mere sound of your voice and speech. Please adopt the right conduct and practice what you teach. Do not simply follow what other people say. Exert yourself with continuous concentration. When acting, one takes the opportunity. Without acting, one does not accomplish anything. This is really important. Do not simply follow what other people say. Exert yourself. When acting, then you take the opportunity. When you don't act, then you don't accomplish anything. One time, you know, I told this story many years ago, New Year's Eve. We were at a retreat. So New Year's Eve night, we were gathered at a house across from the retreat center. And I was there, and there was a Khenpo who recently came from Tibet. He only spoke Tibetan. There was the translator, and the translator is American but has a Tibetan wife. And so they, you know, in typical Tibetan style, you know, Tibetan people like to have fun, actually, you know. So they brought, you know, the wives. There were two Tibetan women. There are two American guys married to Tibetan women, also at the retreat. So they brought their wine, you know. And so there was the Khenpo, there was me, and we drank our tea, you know, enjoying ourselves. And the Tibetan wives and the other guys, you know, the grown-ups, you know, they were having, you know, a glass of wine and all that. So then there were some of my students actually from college. They came to the retreat. And so they were in the living room kind of talking and, you know. Then at some point, this Khenpo, he asked in Tibetan, he said, hey, how come they are not drinking? How come they're not having like, you know, some of this wine, you know? My Khenpo, of course, is not having. He's a monk. He doesn't drink. I don't drink, you know. Then one of the guys who speak Tibetan, he said, probably because their teacher is here. Then the Khenpo laughed, you know, and the Khenpo said, oh, precious human life, you know. Precious human life, he said. Then I thought, oh, where is he going to go with this, you know, precious human life? Then he said, it's precious human life. If you're not going to practice, then you might as well party. Don't do anything half-heartedly, he says. In a way, he's sort of saying, you know, if they are not going to take the vow of not drinking, then don't pretend, you know. Just drink and have a good time, because this is going to be over, you know, this life, before you know it. But if you really see nature of samsara and you want out, then again, don't be half-hearted. Take the vow of not drinking, keep it. Act. So it says here, you know. Please adopt the right conduct. When acting, one takes the opportunity. Without acting, one does not accomplish anything. And so this is this Khenpo, you know, he came from Eastern Tibet. They're Khampas, you know. Khampas are like Tibetan cowboys, you know. Their style is just very direct, you know. And he says, you know, this is precious human life, you know, you're not going to get it again. If you're not going to practice, then you should party. Then face the consequences later. Don't do things half-heartedly. So do not simply follow what other people say. Exert yourself with continuous concentration. When acting, one takes the opportunity. Without acting, one does not accomplish anything. So continue to read this section. The rest of those words, they're just beautiful. So today we will end here. Please turn to, before we end, the conclusion dedication prayers in the first text, Refuge and Generating Bodhicitta in Stages. There is the dedication prayers at the end. We are going to say this together in English. This is page 3 of that text. Great Vajradhara Dilipa Naropa Marpa Milarepa Dharma Lord Gampopa Pangmudrupa and Conqueror Drikungpa, please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all you Kagyu Gurus. By this merit may I achieve the all-knowing state. May all who wander on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating enemies of faults and delusions. May the 80,000 classes of obstructors be pacified, thus freeing this place from the unfavorable and harmful conditions. May harmonious and excellent endowments be established, and with this auspiciousness bring about bliss and happiness. May there be well-being in the world and good harvest. May much yield of grain and flourish of dharma. May auspiciousness be established in all places, and all that is wished for fulfilled. By the collection of favorable conditions and resources for the dharma, for ourselves and others, be fulfilled according to our wishes. May the multitudes of diseases, evil spirits, obstructors, hindrances, and others be appeased and pacified. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. By the blessings of the Buddhas who have attained the 3 kayas, blessings of the truth of the unchanging dharma as such, by the blessings of the indivisible Sangha order, may these dedication and aspiration prayers be accomplished. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratnashri, the all-knowing Dharma Lord and Master of interdependence, continue to increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. happy second day of Saka Dawa, and we will meet again tomorrow, starting at 9.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hasta mañana.